All right, welcome back. So our next speaker is Beryl Nozedar. Very good, okay. And her talk is The Healing Power of Weeds, which I thought was great. So if you find the unwanted weeds growing in your backyard annoying, you may be missing out on a free lunch. These pesky weeds may contain more nutrition that you would find at the grocery store. These unwanted intruders are rich in antioxidants, vitamins, and protein. Beryl will explain the healing properties of common weeds and how you can make tinctures, soups, and meals with the weeds in your backyard. Please welcome Beryl Nozedar. Thank you.
Had you been walking down Palo Alto today, you would have seen my bottom, because I was walking with Susan and saw a weed. So I had to bend down and pick it up. Now, I was born at the beginning of World War II. Young people say World War I. And what happened as a child, I didn't like pig's head, nor cow's udder. And so my mother found out that she couldn't get me to eat anything. But she did find me in the field next door eating grass and red clover. So she thought she'd given birth to a cow, not a daughter. And during my time as a child, I would pick up things that I intuitively knew were right for me. And so I wouldn't eat meat. I would maybe eat apples, and we didn't get many apples. So I had a fascination with weeds. My father was in the army until I was 6 years of age. So when he came home, we didn't bond. You know, the kids there, you didn't know your dad. Went away at 6 weeks, came back at 6 years of age. So I used to go in the fields with him because he had prized birds. And he would pick weeds for them. We also used to pick mushrooms. Now, we call it cow clap. I think you call it cow manure. But he told me to kick over the cow clap where the best mushrooms were and the best weeds were. I don't suggest eating those until you've washed them. So I learnt about a lot of the weeds that he gave to his birds. So I would eat them. Now, how many of you know dandelion? Yeah. How many of you kill it?
I eat it.
Right. Because if you knew the properties of dandelion, first of all, the tap roots of it go so deep into the earth that the root's so full of minerals and nutrients. So I make my root into coffee. You can coffee. So you take the root, you dry it, and then you grind it, and it makes delicious coffee. This is a diuretic, and it's also full of potassium. So the diuretics that the doctor give you are not full of potassium, so the dandelion root is perfect for a diuretic. Also, on our tongue, we have sweet, sour, salty, and bitter. How many of you like bitter foods? Good, this is wonderful. Because bitter helps your liver to detoxify your liver. In England, when I was a little girl, at the beginning of spring, we would have a liver detox. And then in winter, we would have oils. Because it felt that after we'd had all these puddings and things like that over the winter, we needed to detox our liver. It's the trash can of your body. You need to get rid of that stuff. You know what happens if you don't clean your trash can? So the leaves of liver are perfect for detoxifying you. And the bitterness is great for your liver. Now, interestingly enough today, I found a fake dandelion. Because this is another form. This is what's eaten by the Maori in New Zealand. They call it puha. And they will eat that with pork, because pork and puha. Now, this is absolutely... Would you like to try some?
Yeah. Sure.
Absolutely delicious. If she falls down, could exit stage left. So, one of the things about these weeds, and I call them herbs, you have to identify them correctly. But the dandelion, Dandelion, tooth of lion, if you have the leaf and you fold it in half, it will be like the teeth of a lion. Mm-hmm. The flower, you can put in batter. I mean, I don't eat flour, but the flour itself, the yellow flour, you can cook in batter. The stem of it has latex in it, so if you have a wart, you can break open the stem and you can put it on your wart, so that gets the latex in there. Now, when I used to pick dandelions as a kid, my mother used to say, "You'll pee the bed tonight," because it's also called pissenlit. You pee the bed. And I got all the brown stuff on me. But the dandelion itself, you know, there used to be, what is it, desert island discs, how many records are you going to take onto the... You know, I'd take blinking dandelion, if it was the only thing I took, I would take dandelion. Because there's so many things you can do with it. I chop it up and I have it in my salad. Just a little bit, you know, you don't need a heck of a lot. But it's absolutely delicious. Now, another one of my favourite weeds is the red clover. Do you know the red clover? You can get the red clover top tea now, can't you? Yeah. You can buy it. So it's good for women. It's good for menopause. And also, I read once that it was good for the undernatured child, because I was so skinny. Well, I still am. But at that time, I would go and eat the red clover, and it was so sweet, and it was so beautiful. So, you know, I could get rid of a field in no time. Now, it was interesting with the doctor talking tonight, because I was never given sugar. I was born in 1940. So sugar was rationed, so I didn't know what it tasted like. So I've never actually been addicted or had the love of sugar. But I believe someone was talking about alcoholism tonight. But we did have licorice, stick the licorice, you know, the herbal licorice? And I would chew that. And, you know, that's a laxative, and it's also a tonic. So that's what I was brought up. So I was brought up in a very healthy way. And there were other things like plantain. Do you know the plantain? I was with my friend, and we're in Costco. Now, I'm writing a book. I'm throwing the book away, because this, for $9.99, is an amazing book, and you can come look after it. It's got amazing pictures, because you need to know how to identify your stuff. It's got recipes. It's got all these other things, and it's the home herbal. $9.99. It's just an amazing book. So it's going to cost me so much to get mine finished. I'm throwing mine away and buying this. So the other thing that I ate a lot of, or we had in soups, was nettle. You know the stinging nettle? Yeah. So many benefits for that. Hair rinse. You can use it as a hair rinse. You can put it in a soup. We have horses at home. My lifestyle, I have to just mention something. The way you guys live, I don't know how you do it. Because we have 4 weeks vacation. I live on 5 acres. And you know when it's talking about pleasure, my pleasure is when my daughter gives me a bucket of horse manure for my garden. So I live a very simple life. And of course we eat organically, because I spend 3 hours a day growing vegetables, and I love the darn things, you know, and they've still got the life force when I put them in. So we live on the land, on nature. There's no chemicals or anything going to my land. So we don't eat sugar. I do grow stevia. Have any of you grown the stevia? Yeah. I understand they're putting like a different kind of stevia in whatever it is, the Coke and things like that. But we live such a natural life, and you know, I don't know. I've always been happy, and I don't know whether it's to do with this or I haven't had sugar or whatever it is, but anyway, I am. Because the other thing is, I'm very spiritual. And as a child, I found out that I was very intuitive. So something tells me what to eat. And if I don't feel like it, and I think, you know, because I cook all the time, I cook what my body needs. And, you know, tonight, I think I have this, I can't eat more than that. It's not, you know, because I'm not addicted to the sweet or the salt, because I've just been brought up in such a simple life. So come and visit me in New Zealand, and then you'll never come back. So if you get to know your weeds, because you can also buy the dried weed from some stores. I can find that out for you because I'm not quite sure here. So you don't have to grow them in your garden or forage. You can buy them. Now, what I do, if I get something like the red clover that doesn't grow all the year round, I'll dry it, or I may make a tincture. You know, if there's something that's really rare, you'll make a tincture. So I'll make tincture, I'll make teas, I make lotions. My daughter makes soap. You know, or not even make butter now. So we live a life on this land where we just forage for the weeds. And there's this one that came tonight, which you're all going to get a really good feed. It's my favourite of all time. Somebody eaten this? Chickweed. Chickweed is for weight loss. It's all over Susan's garden, so you can go and visit her. It's for weight loss. You can put it in your salads. I'm sure you're going to try some.
Thank you.
What? No, the dog didn't go on that one. That's right. Okay. Anybody else? Oops, sorry. Oh, you don't eat that. So doesn't it taste nice? How many of you know borage? Don't know borage? You know borage. Well, there's some pictures there if you want to look later on. But the Romans wouldn't march without borage. I borage bring thee courage. So it's good for the adrenals. So I get the borage flowers, the little purple flowers, and I put them in my salad, as I do with the nasturtium. You know these nasturtium. So if you're interested in these kind of weeds, get a good book. Start eating some of them because the benefits of them, antioxidants, they cleanse your liver, they give you a tonic. And the God's gifts that they don't cost you a darn thing. Now, I have never had a vaccination in my life. And the only time I did have antibiotics was when I was a child. I'm not on any medication at all. And I can still do a high kick, but you all might laugh. So my vitality is very high. But I put this down to eating well and eating weeds, to exercising. But, I don't kill myself, when, I take it in my time. But also being in nature and having fun. Sense of humour, it makes you last a lot longer than the other thing. So if you're interested in weeds, what I thought, I'm coming back again in September, and I thought it would be nice, maybe we'll get the Foraging Gardeners Club going out, because in September, the weeds are a lot better there. Go and look for weeds. Help you to identify them, because if you eat the wrong one, you'll be laid down before you even know it. Because I feel children should know about this. And how, I teach my grandchildren how to this, which is great. Grandma, is this what you want? Oh, no, don't eat that, darling. Now, raspberries, they're full of, different. Now, what I've done tonight, I've brought 12 CDs because I had a little bit of a show here, and we've gone over time, so, you may want to talk to me. I brought 12 CDs of, the weeds and what they do and things like that. And if anybody else wants me to cut some more, I'll give you my email address and also if there are any good-looking men, my address to come and see me. And then, I will let you know more about this, but I'm coming back in September, and I thought it would be nice to maybe have a group together. And I'm not worried about money, just give me a firstborn. And then we can... and then show you how to make oils, lotions, tinctures. Because this is something, we have bought, my daughter, she's an animal herbalist, I'm a people herbalist. But my passion is when I can pick God's stuff for nothing. The dandelion, look at that. Dandelion, tooth of lion. And you'll notice, can you see it? So if you get... I understand that you've also foraged. Now, at the present time, when I go back to New Zealand, I'm going back in a week. Now, in the Maori, there's tree medicine. and I don't know an awful lot about that. I know what you can get from, from weeds, but I'm about to study about the tree medicine. I have travelled and met, into Egypt, and I've been into Peru and met different people with these herbal remedies. And what saddened me, I lived in Africa for a while, and when I went there, and I'm saying, eat this, they were saying, do you have any Advil? It was so sad to see these people that had lived healthily on weeds for all those years asking me for Advil because they wanted to change. And my husband, his father was a shaman, and they didn't go to him for the weeds anymore. So it's sad to see these civilizations change. But the Maori is still very much, the indigenous race is still much into their weeds. So I know we haven't got an awful lot of time. If you want to talk to me, don't ask me anything complicated because I don't know what it is.
Questions?
We have
Keep talking.
we have miner's lettuce growing in our yard, and,
Yes.
and that's fun to pick. And if you forget to bring lettuce home, you just go and pick miner's lettuce.
Perpetuating lettuce. You can grow your own stuff there. Comfrey, how many of you know comfrey? Comfrey, do you know if you put comfrey in a pot with 2 bones and with water, it'll actually knit the bones together? It's amazing for anyone who's got broken bones that won't heal. Comfrey.
You get in a pot to do it?
Yes.
Send him home.
Yeah,
Come.
do it. Okay, another question over here.
Hi. I was wondering, you mentioned the nettle, and I know that nettle root is also sold as a powder. And I'm just wondering, I don't know about the barrage, or if the root is ever used with that, but do you know the difference between the nettle when it's probably the leafy part and when it's powdered root? Is there a difference?
I never use the root. I always use the leafy part. I've never used nettle root. And with the borage, I use the leaves and the flowers. I'm sure there's so many thousands of things I don't know. All I'm telling you what I do know, and you possibly know more than me. But these are things that have worked for me. We all should be going and foraging. The chemicals that you get in now, it was really interesting. I was in a bus a while ago in San Francisco, and someone with a wheelchair went over my foot, which swelled like this. Fortunately, I had big boots on, so I was okay. But the paramedics came onto the bus and said, "What medication are you on? It's not, are you on medication? What medication are you on?" And we are addicted to medication. Then you have to take this, to take this, to take this. It's ridiculous.
Okay.
Anyone else?
Yeah, question right here.
Hello. Ma'am, how about rose hip oil? Does it come from a plant, rose hip plant?
The rosehip.
Yeah.
The rosehip oil, you can actually we make a tincture from the rose hips.
Mm-hmm. Because I've seen in New Zealand there are a lot of rose hip when I went there.
Lack of rosehip when you went there?
There
A lot.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was going to say.
Yeah.
Yes.
I've seen even along the roadway there are a lot of rose hip
Yeah.
growing in New Zealand when I went there last year.
We have lots of trees and the ferns and things like that. I also do intuitive lectures. And I'm talking, I talk about the pineal gland. And it's interesting, how fluoride, all these chemicals block your pineal gland. To me, my pineal gland or my knowledge knows what I should be eating. And if I block that, I'm just going to eat anything. It's what you feel like eating.
They're also making creams for
Yes.
the face coming from rosehip
Yes.
oils and when you come back this coming September, will you teach us how to make those creams and lotion?
Oh, yes. My daughter makes all of our soap. She makes one, what's that? That black stuff, what is it, Susan? The activated charcoal. Then I become a coal black and mammy of mine. Because your face goes black, but you get rid of your pimples. So, you know, it's like you just go all black all over. Sorry.
For the bones, and you said comfrey, right?
Yes.
Do you recommend more a tea, tincture, or topical?
I prefer a tea.
Okay.
So I would only, with the comfrey, I would only use about as much as that. And I would chop it up. You know, a lot of people, there was a lot of complaints about comfrey. You know, in Australia, it was stopped being produced because it was like people overate carrots. And so they stopped putting it on because they said that the contents of it were too strong. So I would only use that. I'd chop it up. Now, with a tea, I put in the hot water in. I put a saucer on the top, leave it there for 10 minutes. And I would only have that once daily. I tend to have a little bit. See, if you've got a break that won't heal, the comfrey does it. It's also good for chest complaints. Now, another thing for comfrey, you know, some people have really bad ulcers on the legs. If you get either a comfrey or cabbage, it helps with leg ulcers. Also, cabbage water helps with stomach ulcers.
I have one other question. Do you have information on and what white penny flour can do?
White penny?
Yeah,
I don't know white penny.
Okay.
You don't mean pennyroyal?
I don't think so.
Okay. I'd like to know more about the weeds here. I've got a book, and you just are full of weeds that you don't use. Is anybody really up to? Anybody really aware of this? Or you've got an absolute Garden of Eden in these fields. Be out there, and you know you wouldn't have to go to Whole Foods then.
Okay. Go, we got a couple of questions back here. We'll get there. Okay.
Do you have any recommendation for like a asthma or
Okay.
like a upper respiratory type of thing?
What's really interesting, I found a lot of people with asthma. I don't believe we should drink milk after we've come away from our mother, but anyway. But I found out a lot of dairy affects that. But there are a lot of herbal remedies that are very good for asthma. And the ribweg plantain is good. But, you know, you've got to see what causes that. There's a dietary thing, and I often find out people with asthma are depleted in magnesium. And the problem with your vegetables, if there's no magnesium in the soil, how are you going to get it in your food? So a lot of the soil here is denatured. So with my soil, I put something called Demetrius earth on. I don't know whether you've heard of Demetrius earth, fossil shell flour. I put manure on from the horses. I get seaweed from the beach. And so my land, and it's clay, but it's like breadcrumbs now. So, and of course everything goes back in, because you're not putting things back into your land, you're putting things in, you know, you're eating chemicals. Why do you think we have cancer of the tongue, for what you're eating? And I know some of you can't buy organic, but I can't see why you can't have a little plot at the back of your garden, which I'm told is illegal here. Have you heard that? It's supposed to be illegal to grow your own veggies. Sorry.
Not so much a question. A lot of the things you've talked about grow pretty much everywhere, and you've been around the world.
Yeah.
Have you had a chance to try redwood sorrel, which grows in our redwood groves here, the coast redwoods? Something you should try while you're here or when you come back.
The redwoods?
Redwood sorrel, it's like a large clover, and it's very lemony. Grows only in the redwood groves, as far as I know.
Oh, really?
Yes. Something to check out, and you should see the redwoods while you're here anyway.
You know, I was staying at Giza in Egypt, and I was looking around, and I saw a plantain, because you know the plantain itself, it's really good for bee stings or things like that. It's good for asthma. It's in the middle of the palace in Egypt, a great big plantain. They call it white man's foot. It goes everywhere. So if you've got $9.99, I suggest you buy that darn book. And Costco, you said. Costco.
All right, good.
And you can have a look at it when you come. The pictures on it are absolutely marvelous for identification. I know that you forage. Does anybody else eat weeds here? Ah.
I'm going to.
The only one I know is dandelion.
Yeah.
Okay. there are so many. You know, there's the chickweed.
Yeah, miner's lettuce and dandelion.
But
dandelion
this
are
is
common.
why you can get books on them. This one particularly shows you, you know, a lot more. I only chose to do a few tonight because there are so many. You know, even your artichoke, the leaves from the artichoke are good for the liver. The silk from your corn is good for your kidneys. Cinnamon, quarter of a teaspoon of cinnamon gets rid of diarrhea. It's all in your cupboard in your garden, and it costs nothing. It leaves you healthy.
Okay, any other questions? All right. Thank you, Beryl. All right. And yeah, that's great. I'm inspired to go look and see what else what other more weeds I can eat.
Do you want to give out your email address?
Yeah.
Yes, there's some CDs there, Susan.
You just say your email. Just go ahead and say your email address.
Oh, are they all gone? Oh, well, I'll give it on my email. That's the plantain. That's the one for asthma, the ribwet plantain.
Okay.
Oh, look, we're leaving. So, it's here.
Yeah.
So if anyone wants to...
We'll be here for a little bit. You can come up and take a look at it. Do you want to say your email address?
If anyone wants to contact me, it's B for Beryl, NOZEDAR@yahoo.com.
Okay.
But I suggest you get this book, and I suggest we all get back together in September
Yeah.
and have a weed party.
Go forage for weeds. All right. Thank you, everybody. And once again, thank you, Beryl.
You are?
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah.